When our best fur friends leave our world, many of us are left wanting one last scritch, one last hug, one last walk together. One Last Network is a space for pet guardians to honor their pets in their senior years and to cope with the days leading up to and after their passing. Here's your host, Angela Schneider, founder of One Last Network and Big White Dog Photography in Spokane, Washington.
Hey, welcome back to One Last Network. We sure hope you're enjoying these podcasts. If you're feeling froggy, please hop on over to your favorite app and leave us a review. Or send me a note at angela@onelastnetwork.com. I've spoken to a few people recently who've said our podcast is helping them understand their grief and feel a little more comfort in their anticipatory grief or in the days after losing their dogs or pets. Today, I'm speaking with my friend Carol Bryant, whom I met in 2020, just weeks before the whole world shut down with the COVID-19 pandemic. She was then the president of the Dog Writers Association of America, and since I was a finalist in 4 categories, she invited me to the awards ceremony in New York City and to photograph the event for the DWAA. Side note, that weekend made me remember that I only want to create epic portraits of dogs in Mother Nature's glory. Event photography is not for me. Back to Carol. She's brought comfort and learning to thousands by being very public about the trauma she experienced in losing her Cocker Spaniel, Dexter, around this time last year. Every post, every word she wrote on Facebook tore my heart apart. I could feel her panic and agony as Dexter was diagnosed and dying of Hermangiosarcoma. Hermangiosarcoma is a highly malignant cancer that commonly attacks a dog's spleen, liver, heart, and skin. Hermangiosarcoma's cause, according to NC State Veterinary Hospital, is in most cases unknown. There are options for surgery and chemotherapy, but the Flint Animal Cancer Center at Colorado State University says despite treatment, the long-term prognosis for dogs with Hermangiosarcoma is generally poor. Join me and Carol as we look back on those days and discuss why she felt she needed to be so public with her pain and how the stories she and others have told about her beloved Dexter have brought her comfort in the days following his death. Good morning, Carol. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Angela?
I am having a really good day. I'm working on training some pet photographers on how to be better service providers in helping their clients who are in anticipatory grief. And it's been quite a journey that I've been on. How about you?
Any day with a dog in it is a good day for me. And so I'm in the midst of raising a 7.5-month-old puppy. He is just a little pistol, and it's been an interesting and fun and tiresome 7.5 months. Well, 5 months since I've had him, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun having a puppy.
Puppies are little devils.
Devils with fur, yes.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about Dose of Reality and how long you've been running that website and what it's all about.
Yeah, so I was writing for a fledgling dog magazine back in the mid-2000s, and I just thought, there's so much not being talked about on the internet. I would go in the early internet days, being OG to all of this, and search for a topic, and I couldn't find an answer for something about my dog. So I thought, well, then I have to write it. Why not? And blogging was just kind of becoming a thing. And so I thought, why not? And I wanted it to be very real and true. I didn't want, rumors and what somebody said. I thought I'm going to really interview vets and experts and put the legwork in and travel and meet people. And Dose of Reality was born. It started for all dogs, and it still is, but the content is primarily geared at Cocker Spaniels and their canine friends. And so anything that really helps a Cocker could help others. But the breed has their very own special, unique set of needs and problems, like all breeds. And so that was back in, I want to say, around 2009, 2010. So being that I'm 21 now, I've been no, don't I wish? I've been doing for probably like close to, I guess, 13-ish years. And I also blog for others and have written for others as well. But it's my labor of love and my passion project. And it's grown into something I never could have imagined.
I completely understand being attached to one breed in a way that you cannot, that a lot of people cannot comprehend.
Yeah.
What is it about Cocker Spaniels for you?
I love that they're a medium-sized dog with all of it. Like, they've got the smarts and the personality and the love, and they just want to worship you and cuddle you. But they also want their space, and they're smart, but smart enough to make you laugh. I love the look. I love that guys love them because they want to hang with them, but the girls want to fluff on them and play with them. And, it's kind of like the all around, whatever, it's the all around great breed, but it's not your beginner's breed. It's the most one of the most high maintenance breeds on the planet. So of course I would fall in love with that. And I've loved them since like 6 years old. And I got a book out at the library about dogs,
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's your breed?
My breed is the Maremma sheepdog, or in Italian, it's the Cane de Pastore Maremmano Abruzzese.
God bless you.
With a side of spaghetti.
Yeah, so you get it. I love all dogs, but there's something about the Cocker Spaniel that just makes my heart go pitter patter. And I've been known to get out of the car while we're driving and ask people if I could pet their dog on the sidewalk if it's a Cocker Spaniel. So
I've done that, yes.
I'm proud.
Yeah. Maremmas are pretty rare, but at the same time, if I see one, I'll be like, oh, I got to touch that dog. Mm-hmm. Full well knowing that that's not the right thing to do, especially with livestock guardian dogs. So earlier this year, you lost your Dexter. Would you call him your heart dog or your soul dog, or?
Yeah, I lost Dexter in November of 2021. It feels like yesterday. And I feel like he was a wise sage that was sent down from the heavens to make a huge impact on my life. Mm-hmm. All dogs are my heart dogs. I always get sad when I hear somebody's heart dog, and I feel bad for the next one, or it's just me. But he was, I don't know, those bigger than life presence that I'd had dogs before, and I have dogs now. There was just something very otherworldly about him. And I always knew the pain would be terrible leaving him. You think you're going to outlive your dogs, and hopefully we all do, but to lose them so suddenly without warning, like a lightning bolt, destroyed me.
I watched that happen, and the sudden onset of the news must have been extremely traumatic for you. How are you dealing with that now?
I'm a lot better since Dexter died from Hermangiosarcoma that was diagnosed suddenly. A big mass in his liver had burst. He wouldn't have made it even if we tried surgery, it just was not a good situation at all. And it's such an insidious evil. All cancer is bad. It's such an evil, insidious one. You don't know it's coming. It's until they have signs, it's too late. And I think it's just the idea that, we know it's the deal we make when we get a dog is that they're not going to, you get them for a decade or more, hopefully, depending on the breed. And that wasn't the day. I wasn't ready. I thought it was going to be, I did everything for him and I took care of him and all the good things. And you're a good dog mom. And when the rug gets pulled out from you like that, I literally went into a state of shock and I withdrew from everything. Mm-hmm. That's the truth. I just put everything on hold, including my own mental well-being. And I just retreated into my bed and my home. And it was the holidays and it just compounded it. And actually, what brought me out of it was trying to help, thinking I have to do, that's how he died, Angela, but it wasn't how he lived. And I didn't want his entire life to be about that day and how he died.
Bingo, because you have told his story, and there are so many people that were attached to Dexter's story, and knowing that you've put all of that out there, you were also very public with his diagnosis and how you were managing that and what a shock it was. How did you just keep going through that whole process and sharing it with the world? Or is that just a natural part of your personality?
Yeah, the latter. Since I'm a little kid, I turned to my diary and books and the library, and writing has always been just my go-to. Before the internet, I was a diary girl. And so that was just something I did for me. I had to put it in words. When I can't say it out loud, I needed to do something. So I just thought there's got to be somebody else out there that doesn't know about this cancer or whose dog is dealing with it. I wanted to help someone. That's just in me. I have this innate need to help. And so what better way to reach people than through the internet? And I just went there for myself. I didn't know what else to do when you're sitting in an emergency room 3 hours from home and you have no idea what's happening to your dog. I just started on social media, and I needed a support. I needed my people, all the people that I'd helped for over 15 years. I just needed somebody to be there for me for a change. And I'm not one to take. I'm not a taker. But I needed it more than anything at that time. I didn't even know what was going on. And so my people came through for me. Dog lovers came through for me. I can't even explain it, how grateful I am. So yeah, it's a natural part of who I am to write about it and try to help other people understand.
Shep's death was very sudden for me. If I look back now, I should have seen signs, but that's wallowing myself in the guilt phase of grief, of course.
Absolutely.
But I posted about having to put him down on my Facebook page 8 years ago. And what followed was, I had a smaller community then on Facebook, but what followed was 150 or so comments of people who told their own story about having met Shep or known him through social media, or family and friends reaching out with comfort. And I know that happened to you as well. You probably got like 4,000 or 5,000 comments.
What happened that was unique was my dog traveled with us. We're a pet-friendly family. And so working in the pet industry and different conferences and events and trade shows and expos, he just went along. He was a social dog. And so, and you met him. So he liked it.
Dexter.
And what was beautiful, so beautiful, when he passed, over the ensuing months, people shared stories, images, and video with and about him that I didn't even know existed. Like they'd say snap photos at a conference, or, hey, he did this and I found video on my phone, or it was like a gift from the heavens. It was like just a gift I felt like, oh, somebody does care about me for all that I gave. It was good to have somebody that did more for me than I can't even tell you. That kind of was what started bringing me out of that horrendous first phase of grief.
So you felt the interconnectedness of the dog world. I mean, it happens in the normal world too, where all stories are connected, but the dog and pet community seems to be so interconnected in that way, where Shep had his own Twitter account for a while, back when Twitter was cool. And I met people because of that Twitter account. I have friends to this day because I posted pictures of Shep on Twitter and in other places. So those moments brought me comfort as well. And especially when people sent pictures of me and Shep together that I didn't know about. And
amazing.
So now their stories have become a part of my story. And did it bring you to a new level of understanding of the pet community?
It did. There were all these things happening and an impact that he had made, and words I had written, and people we had talked to, even if it was in passing, because you know how busy conferences get. And just these things that they told me and stories about him that I feel like this in that moment, I felt like we all die, but you don't unlive. Like you don't unlive. And I felt like his legacy is he'll never be gone, because he's impacted so many beyond me. That don't we all want the same in our lives?
Mm-hmm.
And I miss his physical presence more than I can tell you, but it's the chance you take when you fall in love with a pet.
Mm-hmm.
And you know the ending, you know how the story ends. I just thought it was going to be a little longer.
Yeah. And I firmly believe that they change us and that they can be our greatest teachers if we let them. What did Dexter teach you?
To live more freely in the moment, to not put things off and do them then. I have no regrets. I mean, all the things I wanted to do with him, I did. I didn't wait for vacations. We didn't wait for those moments, those snapshots, those day trips, take a couple hours off of work. I have all the different things. Like I actually wrote an obituary for him. He taught me to laugh about myself. I've had dogs before and dogs since, and they all bring something. He just brought this otherworldliness. And I feel like he taught me to be the person I am today. Like everything I do, he's a part of it because of his presence. And honestly, so many people I know I would never have met if not for him. Mm-hmm. And so in that sense, like that whole circle of life thing is real. And then I worry, like that whole anticipatory grief, like I am a little bit nervous now, like even having a puppy, like I want him to live a long life too. And so you start to just torture yourself. I think it's the 6th stage of grief. When you go into another pet, start to torture yourself with being a little bit over the top and helicopter momming and that kind of thing. So he's taught me a lot, but I don't want his death or his life to be in vain.
Did he make you a better writer?
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I was always writing. I was in the medical space. I was always writing in the medical space, and having him, such an influence he was in my life. I switched. I was like, dogs are where it's at for me. And there were signs along the way. I think life, you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills, and medical writing paid better and that kind of thing. But you get to an age where you're like, I can't do this forever. I need to do something that I love. And
Great.
You have to do what's right for you, and for you it's behind the lens, and for me it's with the pen, the keyboard. So yeah, he made me a better writer and a more insightful, thoughtful writer. He put me on a better path. He put me on a path I was meant to be on. I feel like we're talking about him now, so he's alive today. I feel like by keeping his name out there, talking about Shep, like I feel like they're here with us and I believe I'll see him again. Like that's just my belief. So I ask him to help guide me until I do.
I believe that Shep is with me every step of the way, and he continually shows me where I need to be and what I need to do. Mm-hmm. Bella does that too, but she's still young at 8. She hasn't stepped into her wisdom yet.
And I found out a lot too, Angela, about this type of cancer, and so many they don't get the 13 years, the 14. Like there are so many who go when they're 4, 5, 6, and so these are things that make me grateful for that time. I have a different outlook on it than I did several months ago, because I got that. One of my dear friends said to me, we've had 13 years with him. There are some who don't, and so that kind of changed me too. But I'll never stop. I'll take this level of grief to my grave. I have accepted it. It's just a part of me. It's in that grief suitcase inside me, and there's not a damn thing I can do about it. So I might as well carry it with me.
No, one of the first things that I started learning in studying about grief was that we don't get over it. We don't put it past us. We learn to live with it, and we learn how to lessen the pain that comes with our grief. But once you experience grief, it is with you forever. And the difference is in healing and learning how to make meaning of your life afterwards, and knowing that the memories of the time you spent with Dexter can bring you comfort and happiness and smiles instead of grief and tears.
Yeah. And I balance the two. I mean, I'll probably get off of our podcast and have a good cry. I knew that I needed to extend that love to another dog. I don't have a heart that could close off. People say never again. And I used to say, I thought, no. And then when you're dogless, no way. I can't be on this planet and be dogless. It's just not who I am as a person.
We have friends who have said that once their lab passes, which they expect to not be soon, but not long term either, that they're not going to get another dog because they want to go traveling and do all the things. And my husband was sitting at the table and he looked over at me and he goes, I don't ever see us being dogless.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with him all over again right there.
Hey, that's so beautiful. Aw, isn't that
He
great?
knows me, he gets me. And,
That's awesome.
it came to, it just came to pass that I was only without a dog for 9 days after Shep.
Yeah, 5
left
months
me.
was hell for me. It really
Yeah.
was. It was just the time of year, and we're in a situation too. It's a little bit, it's on topic, but where you can't find emergency vets that are open in many parts of the country, or they're filled to capacity and they can't take you.
Mm-hmm.
Compounded to our nightmare, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners can relate to this, is we couldn't find a facility that would open their doors to my dying dog. And so we wound up 3 hours from home at midnight on a cold winter night,
Wow.
begging them to take us in. And that added a whole new level of you think you work in the pet industry, people and somebody, but when it's the depths of the night and midnight and vets say, sorry, can't take you, or they're locking their doors around here too.
Wow.
Emergency room, so people cannot get in because they just don't have the help. And there's this huge vet shortage. You should do a show about that sometime. There's this huge vet shortage, and I'm grateful we found someone, but I'm sad it took us the few hours I had left with him. A lot of them were spent in panic.
Mm-hmm. Very traumatic.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know what was wrong with him. I thought he was going to die in my arms. I just, something was wrong, but deep breath.
If there's one thing I know that is true about you is that you have continued to write. Has it been cathartic for you?
Yeah, it has. It actually has. I've written more about grief, anticipatory grief, how to manage those. The first few weeks after grief are different than what it looks like 2 months down the road, 6 months down the road. And the level of people who are engaging with that, who feel the same way. One of my most sought after posts was, I fear my dog is going to die. And, people are finding that, and I'm not alone. I mean, that's getting several thousand visitors a month, like 7,000-8,000 visitors a month are on my blog, are looking for, I'm afraid of my dog dying. And they're not old, they might be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, or they might be 13 or 14. So there's this, death has brought me closer to people who are experiencing the same type of thing. And so that's a beautiful thing. I think dogs are love, and they unite us all, even in their passing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's truly not gone in that sense. And that the physical missing him is one thing, but I feel that he has such an energy that he's still giving from where he's at.
So what you're saying is that his death has brought a new meaning to your life.
Absolutely. That's perfectly said. Yes, absolutely.
One of the things that you probably noticed as well in dealing with your grief in such a public manner is the feeling of weirdness that comes with mourning the loss of a dog.
Mm-hmm.
How do we use our stories to move forward the idea that grieving a pet is normal and okay?
Mm-hmm. There's still a stigma in society, and as you and I have spoken of, people who just don't understand that the loss of a pet is sometimes even worse or more harrowing than the loss of a person. That pet is with you 24/7. Plus, pets are non-judgmental. They're always happy to see you. They don't care if you have a dime to your name or if you look like crap. And when that's gone, and especially, your dog's with you 24/7. I mean, I don't know if you remember Lon Hodge with Gander, the service dog. And this gentleman is a military veteran and had PTSD, and this dog was everything to him. And the dog died. And so then what happens when that service dog, the dog who's your best friend, but also your medical necessity, is gone?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had talks with him about this, and he still gets the, we'll go get another one. We'll just go get another one. And it's not that it's not even that it's not that easy. That is the worst thing you could say. If anyone's listening and they've ever said that, stop doing that. Even if you mean well, pick something, say nothing. Just don't say a thing. To normalize loss, you've either got to walk through it or think about what's the worst thing that could happen to me? And then pretend that happened. That's what it feels like to lose a pet you love.
Yeah.
And like my thing really, and I'm the kindest person you'll meet, is just shut up if you don't have something good to say when someone's pet dies. And I don't care if that's a snake or a bunny or a ferret. Life has meaning. And if you have no right to tell someone the right way to grieve. There is no right way to grieve. Everybody's grief is on a different path, and it's not one long continuum. I mean, my grief might look different than somebody else's, but I will never judge. If you're not, maybe you won't cry for a year. I mean, I know people that have gone to funerals and they didn't cry. It took 6 months to realize, oh my God, my mom's not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Grief doesn't look the same way for everybody.
It does not.
So stop saying mean things. That old adage of, if you have nothing nice to say, then say nothing at all.
Yeah. Really. Well, just last week, I was training my pet photographers around the things that we can say to support our clients who are in anticipatory grief. And I went over the list of things that you absolutely should not say. And we're all pet people. So we're not ever going to say the phrase just or, oh, yes, you can get word. That is not going to happen. But what we can do is let our clients know that when someone does say that to them, feel a little bit sorry for them, because they will never understand what it's like to have the kind of relationship we have with our pets.
Right. And there are some people who do just actually have kindness in their heart, and sometimes it's a generational thing, and they do think it's okay to say, you should go get another one. Like, and in my case, that was the answer, but I think that's a journey you have to take on your own and know when it's time. But it's not that you're replacing the pet, as your listeners know. It's just that it's adding a new depth to your life. It's adding a new color. Not replace a mom or a dad or like whatever. It just, pets have really infiltrated, especially in these last 3 to 4 decades, they've infiltrated our lives in a way I think that's never. We had the family dog stayed outside when we were kids until it was winter, and then she came inside.
Yeah.
And now I look back, just, I'm mortified. We wouldn't do that now, but I think we've come a long way, and this new generation coming in, it doesn't say those kinds of things. They get more, and I think that compassion is sorely needed in all aspects of society right now.
And storytelling.
There's always going to be a place for videos are great. Social media is great, but there's nothing like a story that you don't curl up with a social media post. You curl up with a good book, and so that's how I feel. Stories are there to touch the heart. And that's what I hope that I'm achieving through my writing,
And they'll keep Dexter and all of your dogs alive in your heart and in your soul, in your memory, and for others to learn from as well, especially where you have your blog.
Yeah. And I'm not, like you started, I'm not over it at all. I'll never be over it, but I've learned to live with it. Good days, bad days, good moments, bad moments. I mean, the funniest thing set me off, the strangest thing. It's just an odd, and I saw myself to an animal communicator trying to, you do these things. And I do believe there are people with a gift, but you just want them back so much that I'm just glad I'm starting to come out of the darkness.
So what lies ahead then?
Yeah. So just help continuing to live my life in the company of dogs. Working on my blog, my writing, my clients, and I'm launching a pet copywriting business because I see so many people that need the help with their writing. And I think, oh, you know what I would have said? And I'm tired of saying that for over a decade. So I want to try to help people who need somebody to help them say what's in their head, but they maybe can't get it right through the keyboard, but always about pets for me. I'm not leaving the pet space. This is where I'm meant to be.
That is awesome. And thank you for sharing your story and for coming on to the podcast today. I think we've talked about some really valuable things that people need to know around pet loss grief.
Yeah, I appreciate you so much. I
I appreciate you. Thank you.
You got it.
Believe a new age blogger and an old ink-stained wretch. Carol and I know our stories matter. Your stories matter. Your pet's story matters. I'm a firm believer that our dogs teach us, guide us, shape us into the people we're meant to be. They show us the way. In his physical life, Dexter showed Carol the way, the path to whom she wanted to be as a writer and as a human. In his ethereal life, he continues to guide her. And I know he's taught her a lot about how to deal with Alvin, her cocker puppy who just turned 10 months old. Because puppies are the devil. You know it's true. Next week, I talked to my friend Courtney Bryson, who owns and operates CM Bryson Photography out of Atlanta, Georgia. Her special breed is the Boston Terrier. She isn't just a Boston lover. She launched her own rescue, the Rescue Ranch, which is dedicated to saving medically fragile and special needs Boston Terriers. We take a walk down her journey into photography and how a horse named Ginger helped define that journey and underscore the importance of end-of-life pet photography. I'm Angela Schneider, owner of Big White Dog Photography in Spokane, Washington, and your host at One Last Network, signing off to go get some Bella snuggles. Listen to One Last Network on whichever podcast platform you prefer. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. Don't forget to hit follow or subscribe so you don't miss an episode. If you have a friend who might be interested in our content, make sure you share us with them. Thanks for listening.